think the odds of it staying in are pretty slim. If it does, it'll almost definitely die. So if Saline plays well, then or if Alberto plays well, then Decidueye should be dead. If Saline plays well, he could have a good switch in. And Indeedee move, I think, is really what is important here. Because if it doesn't have something to hit Polt, then what?
I think the stream like died.
It says it's live still. Maybe it's just on your end. Let me check.
Alberto said it's back. So yeah, we did lose you there for a second.
My
now it's
internet,
not loading.
Yeah, it didn't cut out at all, but
It looks like it's back.
okay. Oh yeah, it did die. Huh. Weird. Yeah, on my end it looked like nothing happened, but anyways, I think Hisuian Decidueye, it gets O-code here. Indeedee's move is pretty important. It could potentially do a lot of damage with something like a D-Gleam into Polt. And Polt might want to go for like Terra Dragon. Well, there's no Terra yet, so maybe Terra Dragon, like Dragon Claw into Indeedee. Would be interesting. I don't know. Let's see what he goes for. It is a switch into Rotom Heat. And Dragon Darts brings Indeedee down to Sash. Ooh, it's Sash Indeedee. That's really bad. As Close Combat comes out, this could be really bad for Alberto. It's Trick Room, actually. Wow. Very unexpected. I think a D-Gleam would have been really good there, too. But Trick Room was just so much better. I didn't realize it was running it. Actually, I don't think it used to. Maybe it didn't used to get Trick Room back in Gen 8, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, very very interesting for it to be able to Trick Room here. Works pretty well. Into this the speed, especially a Scarf Ensign, means that this Decidueye is able to pick up on Ensign here probably, and if it's D-Gleam, that means Polt's very low. It's gonna probably lose this one. Triple Arrows does come out, does OHKO.
Ooh.
Crit might have mattered, probably not. An Expanding Force does so much damage. Darts is able to pick up the kill and do a lot to Decidueye. Decidueye is able to just win it here. And we see another crit. Yeah, it's definitely a crit item.
Focus.
Decidueye. I think the Scope Lens or Razor Claw. I think those are probably one of those two.
Okay,
yeah.
I said it once. Now I'll say it again. Game 3!
Yep. And I did actually click on it earlier. I was hoping no one noticed that, but but yeah, game 3. And yeah, I was curious to see how Alberto adapts to this one. And it is a lead of these two. I think it's better to lead these two and then have them in the back because they are both choiced. And now that you know that it is Sash Trick Room on Indeedee, you can play around that a bit better.
True.
So yeah. Also, wow, we had a big audience for this game. But yeah, Intimidate comes out, but Clear Amulet again, and we know it's Safety Gargoyles on Rotom. Protect Exca means that Rotom will just die to Dragon Dart straight up.
Yep.
And Flare Blitz comes out into Exca, but T-Tar hits the field. I believe also I said before this one that Excadrill's Terra Band, so hopefully we won't have to, like, Excadrill can't live a Flare Blitz here. It's something good to know. But it does outspeed with T-Tar on the field, so. And Harrisburg does just rip into instant and picks up, actually. Wow. As Knockoff comes out into Light Ball Golem. That means it was Light Ball Fling. Interesting. I mean, almost definitely it's Light Ball Fling. Because Light Ball Fling gives it the...
wanted to paralyze something.
Yeah. Probably Exca so that it's suddenly slower again. But yeah, would have been good into a lot of things. But gets knocked off right away, so... And now our Terra Dragon Polt hits the field again. As Wide Guard comes out, very good play. Even though it dies to Iron Head, probably... oh yeah, Dragon Dart does a lot here. Probably like a Rock Slide here, yeah. Very nice. And covered for an EQ too, with the Terra Flying. So I think that was a solid play. Ooh, we see
Traces the Sand Rush.
This could be a a game-defining moment because we see 145 max speed, 154 max speed on Exca. If it's Scarf God Aurora, which we know it's not, but if it's if it were that, or if it is max speed, Extra's not max speed, then this could matter a lot. Unfortunately, it can't Terra here, which really sucks because if it could Terra, then it would be able to live in Ironhead. Otherwise, probably just dies to an Ironhead anyways.
Yeah.
But
Guard's not good
depends on
physically.
speed, yeah. And then Polt will probably be able to kill T-Tar here and get some more chip on Exca. But yeah, it looks like a little bit of a tough situation for Alberto here. And Ironhead does just go off
Does
first.
come through.
Yeah, and D-Jarge does pick up on T-Tar and gets Exca within range of another, but he does unfortunately outspeed, and it is Sash and DD in the back, so yeah. We are going to see Indeed, probably go down to Sash here, but pick up the kill in response. And yeah, wow, 1% Indeed live with Sandstorm up. Wow. imagine like Protect was possible there, to like
Yeah.
you protect and like get Indeed down to past that Sash, and then you just win with the Dragon Darts after the Iron Head. That would've been crazy, but. Yeah, very well played set and super intense set again. What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, alas, we did not see that.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but very well played generally. And yeah. Now we have my match versus Wah. In this one, I felt like I had a little bit of a tough matchup, but he also felt like he had a pretty bad matchup, so that's interesting. In the power rankings, his team was ranked first, mine was ranked second. We were both 1-0 heading into this, maybe? No, he was, yeah, we were both 1-0 heading into this match as well. So one of us would be 2-0, one would be 1-1. And looking at his Terras, he has 3 Terra Steals, which is really interesting. Because Steel's obviously weak to ground, and I have Garchomp as my one of my strongest Pokemon, so
And
very
Talon
interesting
Flame.
there. Probably for the Ice, I imagine, because
Yeah.
oh well, actually, Sinistcha is weak to Ice, Politoed is weak to Freeze Dry, and Passimian is weak to Fairy. So that's probably why the Terra Steals on all of those Mons. Then the Terrifier Florges probably for what? For Steel. From like Heavy Slams to Titan, which I considered running, or like Iron Head on Garchomp, which I also considered running. So yeah, very reasonable. And then Basque is Terra Band, which is huge because Basque, if he could Terra, could really terrorize with Aqua Jet, with Wave Crash, Last Respects, and adaptability, especially with the Terra, would just make it very, very scary. I know because I have an adaptability mon that can Terra on my team with Porygon, but Basque is just such a scary Pokemon. Had to plan around it a lot. And these were more or less the mons that I expected him to bring, except Crocodile. In mocks, Scarf Crocodile was a really annoying matchup for me. And so I was very relieved to not see that with its Rock Slide, though Passimian could obviously run Rock Slide as well. Having only one of those mons and having no Intimidate also was huge, because I decided not to run a Clear Amulet on either my Titan or my Garchomp. I didn't prepare into Intimidate because I thought I could pivot around it okay, and I had only 2 mons affected by it, so I was very glad to not see that and to know that my my prep actually worked out in my favor. Me calling that shot worked out in my favor. Then I also decided not to run AV on my, or Aurora Veil on my Ninetales this week because it was very not guaranteed that I would get my weather up. If we both led our weather setters, Politoed would take priority. And so I just thought there were a lot of opportunity, or a lot of moments where if I clicked AV, it could be really bad for me. And if I get encored into that, or even if I just waste that one turn, it could be game losing. So I just decided not to bring it altogether. I also really expected Brick Break on Passimian. So yeah, I wanted to call my shots there. And I feel like those were all reasonable
Ninetales
decisions.
looks really good into this team, though.
Yeah, I will say Freeze Dry hits 4 of these 6 Pokemon. And Fairy does
Blizzard
hit
hits the rest.
Passimian. Yeah. And so, yeah, Ninetales pretty solid into this matchup. I also didn't bring Blizzard, actually, because, again, I thought this would be a true weather
What?
war. Yeah,
It's
no,
in your name, bro. Blizzard not running Blizzard? What a
yeah, no.
travesty.
I think it was very smart to not
I agree.
assume I would have the weather. And like I think this is going to be a true weather war, and like so we'd be going back and forth with weather a lot in this matchup, and so I didn't want to run anything that would guarantee or that I would need snow for. Really, I didn't run Blizzard on either of these 2 mons, I believe, as well, and so I wanted to kind of take his reign very seriously. Another really important thing to note is that Talonflame is 126 base speed and Kilowattrel's 125 base speed. So you can see that my Tailwind is 1 point faster than his, because I ran max speed, I would always be able to Tailwind before him. I also do have priority on my Tailwind with Gale Wings, but even if he were to have Swift Swim Aqua Jet into my Talonflame, I would be able to get it up. But the only problem with that is that it could OHKO my Talonflame. So I ran Terra Grass and I ran Pasha Berry because I knew I wouldn't really be clicking Terra Grass super often. Ideally, I don't Terra Turn Run with Talonflame, right? And so I ran Pasha Berry, which made me immune to, or not immune to, sorry, but it made me live in Aqua Jet, even in rain, even Swift Swim, or Adaptability, I think. I would always live in Aqua Jet, which meant that I could get up my Tailwind. And then Slowking was a good Trick Room option, a Trick Room deterrent for him as well. And so I thought if he brought Raj, especially Copper Raja, then that would be really nice for me to have. And then Porygon is just generally such a strong mon here because of Ice Beam and Thunderbolt mainly. But yeah, let's get into the matchup. And also, sorry, one last note is Terra Dark on Slowking was for the Lash Respects, which really threatens my team. And immediately, he leads Polysword Bastion Legion into my Ninetales and Talonflame. Now, typically in Weather Wars, I never lead my Weather Setter, just because I feel like it's something like exactly what happened could happen. Because I have a very fast, the fastest, in fact, Weather Setter, and so because I have the fastest Weather Setter in abilities that activate in a speed order, especially when it comes to weather, my weather comes up first, then his weather offsets it, and it becomes his weather. It overrides. And so typically I wouldn't lead Alola Ninetales, but in this matchup, I really did not expect Wa to immediately lead these two, his hard raid mode right away. And so he caught me off guard there. He called his shots well. And yeah, I felt like immediately Talonflame and Ninetales both in a much worse spot than expected. So good on him there to call that out. And immediately he goes for Helping Hand Wave Crash. Now, I almost never expected him to be Swift Swim because, like me, I didn't really want to anticipate my weather being up all the time. I thought it'd be a mistake to run Aurora Veil or Blizzard or anything that really required my weather to be up when it's such a true weather war. He, on the other hand, called a shot and he said, I'll be able to get up my weather. I'll be able to Swift Swim Bask. It pulls more weight than Adaptability. And so I was really expecting Adaptability. That's why I didn't go for Tailwind here. If I'd gone for Tailwind, I would have outsped him, obviously. But instead, I went for Will-O-Wisp to burn his Bask, which I thought would be really valuable because I knew I lived in Aqua Jet. But because he went for his Wave Crash, he was actually able to OHKO through the Pasha Berry, and I didn't even get a Reveal Wisp, which is kind of good because I didn't have to reveal it, but also not great because I just lost my one Tailwind Setter and my one Burn Mon on Bastion Legion for nothing, for 30% recoil. And
yeah, not great.
And at least a little bit of silver lining is that I was able to get the Snowscape off on Ninetales. Really wanted to run manual Snowscape on Ninetales because Again, I knew it would be a true weather war, and neither of us had manual like setters in the sense of like prankster setters of our weather. There are a lot of prankster rain dance setters, but he doesn't have any on his team. They're all quite expensive, and his team wouldn't be nearly as like it wouldn't be what it is without any of those mons that he has. So, decent call on his end. But for me, my only snow setters, I have Chilly Reception on Slowking, and then I have like Snowscape. But other than that, I just have my Ninetales. So I decided I wanted to run Snowscape here, which worked out pretty well, as you can see. It's now starting turn 2 with my Titan on the field in snow, actually, and his Politoed has to switch out, then switch back in. So I get a guaranteed
Good
full
position.
turn of a snow. So it works out pretty well. And because I know he's now Swift Swim, Bastica Legion can't outspeed my Ninetales, which is also really nice. So yeah. On this turn, he switches to Florges and Kilowattrel, double switch actually, which means I can do a ton of damage to him, right? With my my Life Orb, Sheer Force, and Sheer Force applies to both Life Orb and Play Rough here. Attack into Florges and my Freeze Dry into Kilowattrel. I do a ton of damage to him. Puts Kilowattrel in Ice Shard range, actually, and Florges, I believe, too. But putting Kilowattrel in Ice Shard range is huge, meaning I can deny his Tailwind at all, meaning if I get enough the weather, I can be in a really good spot. And then with Ninetales, I wanted to Freeze Dry the Florges just in case a Basks or Politoed switch in comes in on that slot. I didn't really anticipate a Kilowattrel switch into Politoed, but I figured even if that were the case, I would still be in a fine spot. So, and that is what happened, actually. So I think it was worth to go for the Ice Shard. Could have also doubled the Kilowattrel slot with a Freeze Dry, but one, that leaves me vulnerable to a Protect, and two, I wouldn't even pick up on Politoed with a Freeze Dry or Bask with a Freeze Dry. And so I figured I'd rather get the guaranteed kill on Florges or cover for a switch on that slot. And he reveals he's actually Scarf Florges, which is really interesting. Not something I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
I was expecting...
I mean, it has good bulk, and
it is very specially bulky, yeah.
So, like, giving it speed is huge, but I feel like one of the nice things about Florges is the amount of utility that it has. So, like, locking yourself into, like, Moonblast or whatever doesn't feel great.
Yeah, and chilling water into my team that has
chilling
only
water,
two physical attackers, maybe 3 if you count Talonflame, but like if it's locked into like versus Slowking and Porygon, chilling water, like you're just doing nothing.
Not great.
And so even rain boosted. So yeah, a little interesting there. But he does lower my attack, and I am able to pick up on Florges here. But I do have
Crit
that
mattered.
information. Yeah, for sure. But I do have that information saved in the back of my head, that it is in fact whatchamacallit, that it is in fact Scarf. And so at this point, I'm -1 attack to Titan. I can obviously Ice Shard the Kilowattrel, but I don't really want it to tank more than it needs. And he does switch into Bastia Legion, so my switch into Garchomp is pretty good. And then I can Snowscape, which works really well, as he Encores. So this would have been a really good play if I Ice Sharded the Kilowattrel, right? Because then I do like, I don't know, 8% to Bastia Legion, and then he Encores me into Ice Shard versus his 2 water types. I'm forced to switch into Garchomp or one of these guys. He's able to really bully me and punish that turn a lot, and would have worked out very well. But thankfully, I switch into Garchomp here, and I Snowscape. So like Encore could maybe come out into Ninetales, but I'm faster than it, so he Encores me into Freeze Dry at that point, which is just not good for him because I want to click Freeze Dry always at this point. Maybe unless he clicks Rain Dance as well, or switches out Politoed, like maybe. But I pretty much always want to click Freeze Dry, so Encore is no longer good into that. And Garchomp just switched in, so he literally can't Encore it. Unless he wants to, Encore it into whatever attack he's going to click, which he has no idea what he's going to click, so... Yeah, then in this situation, I think that Ice Fang Bask or Icy Wind on Politoed is very likely. And so I just go for Terra Water here on my Garchomp. and switch into Titan as well to cover for like a Polytoad switch out, because that means that I will guaranteed be able to reset the weather. Also, if I pick up a kill here, which I figured I would, then I would guaranteed have weather again. So yeah, I switch into Titan here and Terra Water as I pick up on Kilowattrel, going for Crunch into the what was the Basque. And he does Icy Wind, so I feel good about that. Terra would have done like almost half my health, probably, or depending on how especially attack invested he was, but still would have done a ton of damage, so good Terra there. As Basque comes out, and now I feel like I'm in a really good spot. So yeah, he helping hand.
Done half. How much damage did it do?
Sorry, what?
How much damage did the Icy Wind do into Chomp?
4%.
So that's 4% on a resist, a half resist, so it would have been 8% on a neutral. On a double, it would have been 16. You would have taken a third, roughly, depending on the roll.
Yeah. So I could have taken anywhere from like 30, 40, maybe even 50%, right? Like, so I really don't want to. There was no advantage. There's nothing else I wanted to Terra as well, and Terra Water is good into Basque as well. So I felt like that was a good play there. As he helping hand last respects into my Garchomp, actually. So
God damn.
Does Oko, right? It's 150 base power with helping hand with a stab, not adaptability, but still. Does Oko. It kind of is what it is. But Titan's able to play rough and do a ton of damage to Basque Legion. Doesn't quite kill, but gets it in Ice Shard range, which is huge because now I can just Ice Shard and then Freeze Dry, and I should win the game, right? And so he helping hands. He Aqua Jets with a crit. It does 29%, by the way. So this snow boost, boosted defense and very high natural HP from Titan. Plus, I believe I'm 252 or 240 something. Defense EV'd on my Titan, so I'm like a very bulky, physically bulky Titan, just kind of for the Basque Legion, plus boosted by the snow and very high HP. Very prepared for this, and so I tank that very well. Ice Shard picks up the kill, and Freeze Dry gets Polytoad very low. So I should be able to just, Ice Shard, Freeze Dry again, pick up here. And so I forget about the Terra Steel, though. And so it would have been my best play to just go for, like, Play Rough, because it does more damage, generally, into Polytoad. And I'm Life Orb here, so I actually don't pick up here. Any Icy Winds doesn't kill, but I'll die to my own Life Orb anyways. And now that I'm -2 speed with no, like, I'm not Slush Rush, or I'm Sheer Force here. I figure that I will, I probably don't outspeed this Polytoad anymore. Last turn, it would have been a better play to go for Play Rough for sure. Here, I'm like, I don't want him to get the extra diff, and it doesn't really affect me, so I might as well just Ice Shard the Polytoad, because Freeze Dry is only doing 9% anyways, and he's like Steel Terra Blast, like a weirdo, but I don't know. It's better to just go for Ice Shard here, because with the Ice Shard Freeze Dry, I always kill before it can move, and so, like, just in case he's like Terra Blast, this is the best play, and against Wa, this is something I've said in the video I'm making, but against Wa, you care about diff, but like not really. You care about the win, because like
you just have to beat him.
Like beating Wa is the really hard part, and like if you can get diff, that's great, but typically you just kind of want to win, and so I had that thought process for sure here, and yeah, so very lucky to be able to, or very glad I was able to pick up game 1, and heading into game 2, I was like, okay. I did not expect him to lead Polytoad Basque, but I am definitely not leading Ninetales here. I know that Talonflame, if I go for Tailwind, I can get it off guaranteed, so I'm just going to do that and leave Ninetales in the back. If he leads Polytoad, great, I get a free weather, right? I got to choose my weather immediately, but otherwise, I just kind of have it as an option whenever I want it, so... He does lead Polytoad Basque yet again, which really, again, not expecting that from someone like Wa especially, but... So I just switch into my Ninetales. Like, I figure that works out pretty well. And he helping hand Aqua Jets, but not after I Tailwind. Here, actually, would have been probably better to get a Wisp off into Basque Legion, but I didn't want to be greedy, especially after game 1. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to play it safe. We're just going to get up Tailwind, which I think is more valuable for us. But yeah, in retrospect, Will-O-Wisp would have been probably a better play. Also, Soup, your match versus Charcoal hasn't been talked about yet. We've been moving a little slowly, but that's on my fault. So yeah.
Blizzard's something of a yapper.
I am, yeah. Aqua Jet picks up here, but I mean, that's completely fine by me. I'm fine losing Talonflame when he's done his main job. Again, I went for Wisp there, but I figured he wouldn't live anyways. I figured I'd just die, which is fine. But Bastion Legion typically doesn't let you just get off a big attack into it. And so because I was able to get off a Freeze Dry, I'm like, sure, I'll take that trade every day of the week. And he Encores me to Freeze Dry, which is like, I'm clicking Freeze Dry anyways, so that's fine by me. He switches to Pass. As I Freeze Dry the Politoed, I kind of expected him to switch there. And then I Rock Slide as well. I truthfully expected like a Kilowattrel switch in, but Rock Slide is just good generally into his team, and so I was fine clicking that there. Terra Water again because Icy Wind on Politoed is something he's already clicked and something that could, be very could make sense into my Tailwind, especially if he has Kilowattrel on the back that he wants to set up his own Tailwind with. And then he Encores me to Rock Slide again. So like I've now double Encored into moves that I kind of want to click anyways. And he doesn't know it, but I'm banded Garchomp. So like it really does not affect Garchomp at all. And then Ninetales like would have been nice to click D-Gleam here, sure. But I don't really care. And if he Terra Steeled, it wouldn't have mattered either way. So really not like that consequential for me, but it does like the Encore to Garchomp is bad, but is bad for him, but the Encore to Ninetales maybe does something. So switches into Kilowattrel though, who just gets nuked by Rock Slide, except it's Sash, and I initially went for Freeze Dry into the Politoed to pick up, but I was like, maybe it protects because we haven't learned its fourth move, and maybe the Passimian switches to Bastion Legion here. Right, on like or something like that, and I also didn't truthfully expect Sash and Kilowattrel. I figured like, oh, I have Ice and Rock moves, it'll be fine. But yeah, maybe a slight misplay not going for Freeze Dry there, but getting the damage on Pass is also really valuable. As Passimian flinches, which is like a big moment here, because he had a Trailblaze. He was gonna Trailblaze the Garchomp, get some more speed on it. And then it would have been able to outspeed. It would have outsped either way because he had Tailwind, right? But if he had it, that way he could outspeed without Tailwind. He could go for like Thunderbolt and Trailblaze into my Garchomp, which would do a lot of damage into anything, even like a Titan, or like Fighting move plus Thunderbolt. Would have worked out pretty well for him to kill or do a ton of damage to whatever's in this slot. But instead, I'm now in a position, or he's now in a position where he has to collect Tailwind, and I'm now in a position where I can still threaten to kill them both. And so here I switch into Porygon. I figure in this situation, like he wants to damage Garchomp for sure, but like he's Terra Steel Passimian, so the odds of him going for like Iron Head into Ninetales are pretty likely in my eyes. So I switch into Porygon to cover for that. Also, get rid of the Encore, but Encore would have been gone by the end of the turn anyways. And Garchomp again doesn't care about Encore at all because he's banded. So,
well, the nice thing about that too is it puts Ninetales in the back.
Yeah, exactly. That was another part of the thought process.
You're picking up a KO this turn on both of them, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
So
I kill it. I mean, Passimian probably lives a Rock Slide here, but regardless, I'm going to pick up something, and so the odds of Politoed coming in with Ninetales on the field are very high. With Ninetales not on the field, maybe makes him question that a little bit more, and if he does, then I always have Ninetales to reset the weather. So, yep. and he does just go for Tailwind, as he goes for Iron Head, so very good, glad about that play, and yeah, Passimian tanks the Rock Slide, but Kilowattrel goes down, and it's revealed that it's not Defiant Passimian, which is fine because I didn't bring Icy Wind specifically because I expected a Defiant Passimian, so it not running it.
But it picks up competitive, which is so funny.
Yeah, the special Defiant. And Politoed does hit the field, so it lets me know that I can switch into Ninetales, but at this moment I'm like, it's pretty obvious that I want to switch into Ninetales, right? It's very obvious, actually. And if I can kill Politoed here, then he can't, like, do a play where, like, he switches out and then, like, can reset the weather on me. Like, I think a Protect here from Porygon in front of the Fighting type attack from Passimian and a Rock Slide is my best play here.
Or a potential Iron Head, assuming you want to switch into Ninetales, you could Iron Head that slot.
Yeah, but, like, because we saw it did a lot of damage, has a flinch chance, he has Tailwind, so, like, he outspeeds, right? If he fighting moves, then, like, maybe a Ninetales switch is better, but still, I think just Protect here is probably the best play with Rock Slide. So that's what I go for, and he Brick Breaks, so really good Protect there. Again, Switch could have resisted that, but still, I don't want to, you know, risk anything for Politoed. And he Icy Winds, so, yeah, this turn works out really well for me as Rock Slide comes out, brings Passimian super low, and he knows that I don't have to Titan in the back for Ice Shard, which is something that I actually kept in my mind when I was picking my Mons, because I figured that having Ice Shard to clean up would be nice, but I still think that this was the right call, and you can see Passimian at 3% with 33% Vascular Legion in the back. He has Tailwind, sure, but without Helping Hand, and without Passimian dead here, actually, if Passimian were dead, Garchomp would die to a last respects, right? But because Passimian's on the field, and without a Helping Hand, I live a last respects here, and so I should, in theory, always be able to win this. And in this situation, I think to myself, it would be great to switch in Ninetales here so that the water move can't do a ton of damage to me. And so I kind of debate who to switch, but I switch out the Porygon, actually, because expecting a Brick Break again or something like that. I get up my weather, which is great, and he Brick Breaks. So really good there. He Last Respects, doesn't quite kill, and Rock Slide just picks up on both. I didn't expect that to work, but yeah, it did. It was great. Rock Slide also hit every single time. I clicked it 5 times this game. It connected on both every single time, so not a single Rock Slide miss. It was awesome. Garchomp was so good this matchup.
And you got a really crucial flinch off of it too. That turn where he would have clicked Trailblaze in that Passimian, that would have been awful if it like missed or he didn't flinch.
Yeah, I think this game, you know, I did get, you know, a little lucky, and especially with the flinch and the Rock Slides. Like, if I had a Rock Slide miss, you know, could have made things work out a little bit worse. But probably just in terms of diff, I think I probably would have won even without the flinch. But without the flinch, it's hard to say. But without everything else, it's like probably. And I feel pretty good about how I played overall. So yeah, like I was very proud of this. I was shocked to be able to beat Wa 2-0, especially in kind of such a convincing fashion. I had 1 Pokemon left here, but I could have had basically 2. I just like lost the Titan because of being dumb.
The Terra Steel.
But yeah, and the Terra Steel. But here I won pretty convincingly. I mean, it was way closer than it looks here, because a 3-0 win feels very convincing, but I had 90% Garchomp, 58% Porygon, 62% Ninetales, and he had Tailwind. So yeah, I'm very glad to be able to have won how it did, and I feel like that was a very good win to get under my belt against a really scary opponent. Stops him from being undefeated in the first 2 weeks, and if I didn't beat him in the first 2 weeks, it's kind of like I don't know who else on the schedule would be able to take a win from him. So yeah. Then unfortunately here you might notice that we are on a little bit different of a setup here. That's because TBL and P4 decided we don't want to send our replays. We'll just download the replay and send it afterwards because we forgot to share the replays. So yeah, I guess singles players, you know, like I don't know how you guys do it in Hoplite, but I've heard it's, you know, like the management. I don't know, something about that. You know, maybe players being like a little lazier. I don't know. I've just heard rumors, but either way, yeah, TBL and P4, both Hoplite players coming in here, both having very convincing game 1 or week 1 wins actually, and coming into week 2, I didn't expect it, but both of them were at the top of the leaderboard, like literally the 2 of them very top of the leaderboard. So
and they were the finalists in Hoplite last season, so they're good players.
Yeah, a rematch of the finals, but in the other division, where neither of them really know what they're doing. But TBL is a really scary team. P4 is a pretty cool team, and Poliwag for some reason, but it does get close to him, I guess. And
That's
and yeah,
why he brought it.
so whoever won this would we'd guaranteed have one of them be 2-0, and the other one kind of move down towards the middle of the pack again. But that means one of these two guys will be towards the top of the leaderboard, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, I like the Terra Fire on Scizor here for Volcarona specifically, and Galarian Weezing. I think Scizor here has the chance to be like a real menace. Vaporeon maybe has a chance to be good here, depending on if he can time that Terra Ground well. If he can't, then he's kind of cooked, or Vaporeon is at least. I like the Terra Water on both of these, especially the Weezing. I think that works pretty well, especially because that's two super strong steel types, and maybe a Rhyperior with the steel move that can really threaten it. So, yeah. I think on paper, TBL has a pretty good matchup into this, but maybe it's only if he brings like Ability Shield, Pelipper, or something like that. If he doesn't have Ability Shield, then maybe P4 is able to kind of take advantage of the lack of rain and able to put in work. But the Poliwag bring pretty much a throw. Actually, never mind. Poliwag's able to levitate. Like, he's just so much higher up than all these guys. So maybe that's, or maybe he's just further back.
He has
but
Swim and Levitate.
yeah, he's just a goated Pokemon. But yeah, we see it is Peli Arch and Weezing Toedscool, and no ability shield, so just no rain. But Sleep is on the table now that Toedscool is at the field. So, and it is just a Spore into Archaludon off rip, and a Dry Hurricane misses. Wow, very unfortunate. And then Thunderbolt just kills Pelipper. So could not ask for a better turn one if you're P4. Wow. Like, literally, best case scenario, you hit Spore is 100% accurate, so you can't miss that. But like, he just doesn't Terra, like misses his Hurricane. Like, it just works out really well. And now Galvantula hits the field as he Terra Flyings, but gets... Oh, he doesn't get Spored because Safety Goggles. Pretty nice there from TBL. Otherwise, Spore could just kind of run away with the game, you know? So pretty nice.
Bug number 3.
I mean, he does have Scizor on his team. Maybe he has another bug.
Oh, dude,
Volcarona
totally
maybe counts as bug number 1.
Maybe? But, like, he still only has 2 bugs? I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe he has a third bug on his team elsewhere that he just didn't bring. I don't... Truthfully, don't remember his team well enough. But I think he...
Did he get Illumise? No.
Yeah, he has Illumise. Yeah, that's who it is.
He has Illumise. Okay.
He has Illumise as his last.
Anyway.
But yeah. Terra Blast with Terra Flying to 60%, so not too bad at all. Then Deagling does quite a bit to both. Wow, that's a lot of damage, and we know it's not like Specs or anything like that or Life Orb. So wow, it's doing a lot of damage. Oh wait, maybe just more damage to Galvantula because it's frail, but still 36 to Archaludon's not bad.
Yeah, off a neutral hit, that's really good.
Terra Blast comes out into Slaking. 3 turn sleep from Arch really sucks, as it's now down to 21%. And Barrascuda hits the field. Terra Grass on the close combat worked pretty well.
Really rain-dependent 4 that he brought this first matchup. And
without ability shield, too.
Yeah.
I think maybe he just wasn't really thinking of the tech. Or maybe he didn't think it would be as much of a problem as it was. Maybe he didn't think he would lead the Weezing, and so he could get off the Drizzle either way. But, like, if he had any of those thought processes, they would all be mistakes. Because it's pretty clear with this team, and especially in this matchup, like, you want to lead Weezing to stop the rain, and it worked, right? And so P4 is up 4-2 right now.
I think maybe his logic was if I open with Archaludon, the Weezing will want to switch off of eating a special attack. But leading with Toedscool to guarantee the sleep on Arch really just neutered that plan.
And this is where Terra Grass Arch would have been really good too. But Terra Grass is banned because Terra on Archaludon is banned, right? So I think season 1 we had a few instances where Terragrass Archaludon really shined. Safety goggles on Archaludon is a good replacement, but it was on the Galvantula instead. If it were safety goggles Arch, maybe would have to drop something like AV, which it's definitely not given how much it's taking from these attacks, but or whatever other item that it wants to run. So. But yeah, close combat does 35%, which is not a ton because of the Terra there. As Double Edge just nukes Spiroscuda, but will not kill actually on stacking. Interesting. And then Flash Cannon just nukes Weezing, so very nice there. As Toadsquirrel hits the field, gonna be able to just pick up the power though, and yeah, that's it. Game 1 just very in P4's favor. Towards the end, actually, we saw the power of Arch. I mean, just OHKOing that Weezing there is really huge. So knowing it's an OHKO really should make P4 think twice about like leading it or not tearing it when he does lead it. So, yeah, curious to see if Game 2 goes any different. And it's Pelipper Arch again and Toadscruel Weezing again. Huh. Well, it worked last time. So switching to Galvantula is really in Terragrass. Perfect play here because now you're immune to both spores, right? Or spore on both Pokemon here. Weezing can't do that much damage, and you can get off probably a decent attack with Pelipper too, or Tailwind, you know. And Hurricane comes out, does a ton of damage to Toadscruel, and Thunderbolt is now resisted. So he went for the exact same play as Game 1 and just thought it would work. Huh. I mean, it did work very well Game 1, but TBL is a better player than that. I think that's a mistake to underestimate TBL, you know, because he adapted it. If he had gone for the same play Game 1, it would not have. He could have gone for the same play Game 1. He didn't. But if he did go for Game 2, and now he's in a really good spot heading into turn 2. Yeah. Even though he's already burned his Terra still, he's in a good spot. Because now we have to switch here. Dry Thunder, but it's probably almost definitely Compound Eyes on Galvantula. So it's like 91% accurate, 91.3 I believe. So you expected it hit every time, but it misses, so that's really tragic that it didn't hit. It would have been nice to hit Vaporeon there, but you don't want to click it into a ground type like most times, so very reasonable there. So it kind of just sucks that I missed. And then Hurricane does a ton of damage and gets the Confusion. Oh, but Overheat comes off, and so that would not. First of all, we wouldn't have learned about Overheat, but second of all, that'd be a dead Weezing. And so the fact that the Thunder missed that really sucks. Gadge got quite unlucky there. But I will say, at this point, Scizor is in a really good spot. So,
yes.
Arch hits the field as there's a Slacking Switch and a Terra Ground. Bullet Punch doesn't do a ton of damage, but Muddy Water does do a ton of damage to Scizor, actually. And Galvantula hits the field as Bullet Punch does quite a bit to Vaporeon. Probably banded damage on Scizor, I imagine. How much that's doing. And it's Citrus Berry on Vaporeon, actually, so he tanks that. But he lives the Double Edge. And it's a Terra Blast on the Galvantula, not a Muddy Water. Makes sense, because you were attacking the Arch. You want to be able to Terra Ground, Terra Blast it. I think that's very reasonable. But good switch there by TBL. He's playing very well so far. And Toadscruel hits the field as Helping Hand Bullet Punch, I imagine, into Vaporeon picks up. Ooh. Very nice. I mean, it did 54 last time, and so with Helping Hand, it doing 71 is, you know, pretty reasonable, but still very nice to be able to pick up the kill there. And now Toadscruel is within range of a Bullet Punch very easily, right? And Weezing in the back is, so if you can, you know, protect Scizor here, then you're in a really good spot. Also, Galvantula is the fastest thing on the field, so it can just like attack either one of these and pick up a kill. And we see just a Bullet Punch into Toadscruel as Thunder picks up. And yeah, this will be game because the Bullet Punch will pick up on Weezing here. Very nice. Great play from TBL in game 2, by the way.
Yeah.
I think game 1, his play wasn't great. P4 kind of cooked him game 1. And most senses of the word, but game 2, just straight good plays. And so very impressed by that. Heading into game 3 actually now. I don't even know who I expect to win this. I think TBL just because of how well he adapted.
Yeah.
But P4 had such a command in game 1. We saw a lot of good tech from him, but he's also revealed a lot of that tech, like Overheat, like Terra Ground, Terra Blast. I guess we haven't learned about Poliwag yet, but yeah. So yeah, Pelipper Scizor this time, actually. Poliwag hits the field in front of Weezing. Wow. Little odd, actually, to lead Weezing and not let Rain get up if you're going for
And then
Poliwag.
bring in Poliwag. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a little rough.
Let's see what the goat can do in his little levitative stance.
So Tailwind comes up for free. Iron Head, not Bullet Punch. I like that a lot because Bullet Punch is not Technician boosted, right? And you know you can get up the Tailwind here, so there's no reason to go for Bullet Punch, right? It's just straight up a bad play. In case of a Terra Water, it's also a bad play. You also get the flinch chance. Like, just everything about Iron Head is better here. So, good play there. Though an Overheat could come out for sure if there's no flinch. Or Hypnosis on Poliwag. Wow. And it is an Overheat, but into the Pelipper, expecting a Terra Grass. Ooh. So this is P4 making the same mistake in game 2 that he did, or going for the same play game 1, or he went for the play that would have worked great game 1 in game 2, and then in game 3 he went for the play that would have worked great in game 2. So
yep,
he's kind of
a little late on the draw.
A little predictable there, kind of in terms of that. And also Pelipper, like it could Terra here for sure, but I don't think it really needed to. Even if it died to a Thunderbolt, it gets Tailwind up and kind of does its job. So I think it was smart on TBL to not Terra there. Even if it were a Thunderbolt, it would still not be that valuable of a Terra. And the Terra Fire on Scizor would be really nice for this Weezing. So actually, I kind of expected a Terra Fire on Scizor more than anything, but yeah, pretty rough play by P4 there. As we see an Arch Twitch actually. And Slacking comes in too, as Iron Head does a lot to Poliwag, and the Encore into Tailwind fails. Would have been a good chance for Poliwag to be good, but unfortunately Pelipper was faster anyways, so it would have been able to move first and I don't know, click like Hurricane or something. And so it wouldn't have really mattered, but not bad on Poliwag, trying his best. So far he's done literally nothing in 2 turns. But yeah. Aura Sphere now comes out. Wow! Aura Sphere just rips into Slacking. Have we learned if it's Scarf on Arch yet? I mean, he Flash Cannoned once, but when was that? Was that this? Or did he move before Slacking here? He moved after Slacking here.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what? Are they
Could be spec.
Are they speed tying? Why did he move first here? Oh, to Tailwind. Oh my god, it's Tailwind.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. I'm so stupid. All right, well, yeah, Slacking goes down. Iron Head picks up here, and now it's very much over because actually not Iron Head, but you can you should be able to very easily kill Weezing before he can attack Scizor or just Terra Fire maybe. But either way, or he protects actually, so good protect there. But Aura Sphere comes out into Toad Scroll, and never mind. Horrible protect because he doubles the Toad Scroll. Great call out on the protect there. TBL is playing out of his mind. Oh my god. And then Aura Sphere does come out and pick up here on Weezing, so very nice. Also, you're probably right. That's probably Specs damage on Arch. He's just doing so much damage. That's probably Specs. But well played. And pretty impressed.
We've all forgotten about Tailwind before. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very impressed by TBL's performance here. Game 1 was not great, but he really did clutch up in games 2 and 3. So good stuff on him. Very little mistakes in both those games. So with how P4 played at least. But now we can switch back to an actual
scheduled programming.
An actual game. On
hey,
actually
Soup, you're up.
Showdown. But yeah, here you go, Soup. It's you versus Charcoal. And looking at this matchup, oh my god, you got a lot of big guys here, taking up a lot of the screen. But Charcoal. So first, this Arcanite's 100% Flash Fire, right? Because Intimidate is not good into this team really. It's only kind of good into Typhlosion into Tauros and Lycanroc. But it's just not really worth running here. And Flash Fire is really good into the Typhlosion, so it's like I think it's 100%. Flash Fire also means that Zoroark can disguise as Arcanine much better, so that's quite nice. Another thing to note is that Slowbro has guaranteed Trick Room, and there's no Oranguru being brought this week, so kind of no Trick Room mode other than maybe Hisuian Gudra, but Hisuian Gudra is actually faster than Kingambit and Slowbro, so it's really not a great Trick Room on, but just something to keep in mind. And yeah, Hisuian Zoroark is pretty good here generally, so or pretty good at disguising as Gambit here, so curious to see how this team can respond to the Eruption strategy other than these two Pokemon, which feel like very obvious answers, but other than those two, I wonder if Grimmsnarl has anything for them. So yeah. Immediate Whimsicott Typhlosion lead here into Slowbro and Gambit. And Risk on Typhlosion is so valuable because we learn Mental Herb, meaning it's definitely Regenerator Slowbro, right? He just didn't want to get taunted, and so he ran Mental Herb, like just in case, there is a taunt coming out. But it's 100% Regenerator Slowbro. Otherwise, he's just wasting his item. Yeah, that's something good to know immediately. And then Black Glasses means that Gambit might be able to pick up on Typhlosion here with like a sucker. So instead, it is an Arcanine switch, however, as a Terra Blast with Helping Hand barely doesn't kill as Trick Room goes up. Charcoal told me afterwards he calced, and this was a 68.8% chance to kill Slowbro here. So very brutal that it doesn't kill. Also, the Kingambit lead could have very easily been. Oh no, it couldn't have been a Zoroark because the Frisk. So we know that it actually was a Gambit lead, which is
Unless that was part of the plan. He's running Black Glasses Zoroark.
Like a crazy person, like Snarl. Maybe. But yeah, immediate switch out into Gudra makes a lot of sense and works out really well with the Mutter Water play. Pink's of Flareblit's okay, but good covering for a switch there. Then Moonblast picks up on the Slowbro, and so Gambit hits the field yet again. And now Lycanroc comes out to play as there's a Protect on Gudra. It makes a lot of sense because low kick on Gambit, pretty common move. We see it a lot now in Champions with a good answer to things like Arch specifically, but like any bulky Steel Dragon type. Like I don't know if I know any of those, but yeah, works out pretty well on that Protect there, and then Lycanroc can take the attack pretty well. Only problem now is that Gambit does threaten both of these Pokemon with Low Kick and then Iron Head as well into Lycanroc. But yeah, it's just something worth noting as Trick Room remains up. And Lycanroc Accelerocks, it doesn't quite pick up the kill, but does a ton of damage, and Gudra goes down as CC comes out into Lycanroc actually. Meaning it is now Typhlosion and Whimsicott hitting the field again, and we learn it's AV and Black Glasses on the Arcanine and Gambit. Interesting.
I already knew about the Black Glasses, but yeah.
Yeah.
And the AV is kind of irrelevant at that HP, but that's good to know for future reference.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's one turn left of Trick Room, not Trick Room expiring, so it's not great for Charcoal. As Low Kick comes out into Typhlosion, who barely holds on as Whimsicott goes down here. But Heat Wave comes out and is actually able to OHKO the Gambit. And now that Grimmsnarl hits the field, it's... Oh, yeah, never mind, it's Fake Out.
The Fake Out is rude.
I mean, it's the best play. You don't do anything.
The fact that that's an innate Ghost type, being able to click Fake Out into it is
That's true, that's really funny. But yeah, game one does go to Soup, and a very close game. Yeah, I think well played on both ends, especially at the start for Soup. But turn one would have been great for Charcoal, but got a little unlucky, and then kind of game fell apart a little bit from there. But yeah, did play pretty well in Trick Room too. So a Lycanroc Venusaur lead. So we actually didn't see Venusaur at all game 1, but he is immediately being brought. And then a Terra-Bug on Slowbro, but very good, very good Terra there. And then we see a Wisp miss on the Lycanroc. Tells you that this is definitely Zoroark as well. Something to note. Not King Gambit. As Sludge Bomb comes out, doesn't quite kill the Slowbro, and Trick Room comes up. So now we'll switch. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, this is definitely Zoroark. And Gambit comes in, as Zoroark also comes in. And then Grass Pledged Oko's the Zoroark. Good call on Charcoal, knowing that, wait a minute, King Gambit doesn't get Will-O-Wisp.
Grass Pledge is interesting.
So, one quick note about the Grass Pledge is that initially I was like, well, you could run very easily Grass Pledge and Fire Pledge on these two. Combine them, you get Sea of Fire, which breaks Sash, which is quite nice for something like Zoroark, and you just get like a nuke on something, right? So that could be really good. But he decided, you know what? I like Dark Terra Blast more, and I was like, very reasonable decision there. But he forgot to change Grass Pledge back to Giga Drain, so he's just running Grass Pledge now. But very nice to be able to threaten. Like, now that you see Grass Pledge, you're like, oh, does Typhlosion have Fire Pledge? Like, you have to keep that in the back of your head. Maybe maybe you expect a Typhlosion switch more often next to Venusaur or something like that. I don't know. Could be a little bit of a mind game unintentionally. But yeah, Arcanine hits the field now, and as Tauros does as well, giving a Defiant to Gambit actually.
Oof.
But also lowering Arcanine's attack. So, oh yeah, this is a really cool attack by Charcoal. We saw it a few times in the past. I ran it season 2 with Volbeat, and I believe someone last season ran it with their Arbok with Intimidate. I ran it with Swagger Mirror, I believe, season 2. But yeah, you can get the Defiant boost, and then how Mirror works, you don't copy the +1, you copy the +2 boost they got, and because you're not getting affected by Intimidate, right? So, Tauros is now +2, really threatens both these Pokemon. And a Terra Water here on the Goodra, as Body Press does a ton of damage to Gambit, and then tanks the Flare Blitz. So really good switch actually on Charcoal's end, even though he takes more from Low Kick, because he Terra Watered there actually, right? Or was he already Terra Watered? Yeah, he Terra Watered that turn. So if you hadn't Terra Watered, it would have been very bad. So just overall, really good turn by Charcoal there, I think. Then a Protect from Gambit on the Aqua Jet, which would have killed, and then a Body Press as well. Pretty reasonable play there, I would say. And now that there's one turn left for Trick Room, you can like Aqua Jet Slowbro, but it's typically better just to kill Gambit, and maybe he has a attacking move, maybe he doesn't, but or Protect there actually. That's even better.
Nice.
But Sucker Punch comes out actually, and it is Psychic. So now you get a free switch into Lycanroc. Like, seems a little bit bad. You got Sucker Punch, you lost half your health, he died, but now Lycanroc hits the field, and I mean no switching, right? Because Arcanine's your only other switch. You can just Aqua Jet and Accelerock, and then like you just win, and so you can win the game with those two moves.
Soup did say he considered the Mirror Herb, and that was a high possibility, but he was relying on Slowbro to deal with an Oko Psychic.
Yeah, but that makes the Protect even better from Tauros there for that Psychic. Because now, I mean, you kill Slowbro and King Gambit has to Protect, and then here you can just do the exact same play. Boom, goes down. Arcanine can't win this 3v1 or even close to it. He can kill Lycanroc, sure, but he just dies to an Aqua Jet anyways. So, yeah, Charcoal's able to clean up that one very nicely. And
Good game.
And yeah, game 3 is we have a game of 3 on our hands now. So let's get into it. It's Lycanroc Dusk and Venusaur versus Grimmsnarl and Slowbro. So I get again from Soup, just wanting to get up the Trick Room right away. Makes a lot of sense because you have a very fast team on Charcoal's end who didn't bring his Trick Room mode, so it's like always getting up Trick Room is just never bad for you. Like there's really kind of no consequence to just getting up Trick Room, and you have a great Trick Room setter in Slowbro, so might as well, right?
Right.
The only thing to worry about is a fake out can only affect one of these guys here. You almost definitely want to fake out Venusaur because it can threaten Grimmsnarl and Slowbro. But Lycanroc also just does a lot of damage generally. If it has Crunch too, which we know it does, then it could really threaten Slowbro. So actually, yeah, maybe it's uncertain who you want to fake out. But it is a Goodra switch, so fake out into Venusaur is a correct play here.
Worked very well for
free
him.
Trick Room. Yeah, so great play by Soup there. Punishing the Goodra switch. But Charcoal kind of like knew a fake out was coming, I imagine. And so switches into Goodra. Goodra would have tanked the fake out for Lycanroc. And so it would have worked out really well if he didn't fake out the Venusaur, but because he didn't really matter that much. So it kind of worked out for both of them, but mainly for Soup because he got free Trick Room. So, but switching to Arcanine, actually very interesting, as Flash Cannon comes out into a light screened Grimmsnarl, and good switch on the Grass Pledge. Only concern is that like you could have just Psychicked the Venusaur, right? You could have just Psychicked the Venusaur plus something from Grimmsnarl, or maybe the Light Screen so you live, or maybe the Terra Bugs so you live. Like, but I imagine you live a Grass Pledge pretty easily, even if it's Life Orb, which it is. But yeah, this way you save resources, which is kind of nice in terms of resource management, which is less of a concern in doubles as it is in singles, but it's kind of a different kind of management, I guess. I think here you kind of make the same play, but you don't go as big. Like you can go big or go home pretty easily with like a Terra Bug Psychic play here, or just Psychic generally. But this is not a bad play by Soup, and he's still in a good spot. So switches in Gambit here. Actually, we learned all 4 mons that he's brought, including no Zoroark, which is not bad. Staraptor still hasn't seen the field in any of these games, but wasn't super good here to begin with. Could have been good into a different team on Charcoal's end, but yeah. And then we see a double Protect actually. So really just a wasted close combat there from Arcanine, but that's kind of fine. And so Slowbro comes back in as Trick Room has 2 turns left. Tanks the Body Press very well, which he definitely expected. And then Sludge Bomb does not do a ton of damage to Arcanine. Also lets us know that he doesn't have Earth Power on Venusaur, which would have been good into Arcanine. And then close combat into the Terra Water. So just like every turn is like a good play for both players. Like that's crazy. Like normally it's like, oh, like you made a good play and your opponent got punished for it. But like it was like the Body Press into the Slowbro switching was really good for Soup, but then the Terra Water on the close combat was really good for Charcoal. So like just good play on both ends. And then Trick Room only has 1 turn left, so you can just kind of stall it out pretty easily. As Heal Pulse comes out, really good call here because the Double Protect is very plausible. And so yeah, works out pretty well there. Grass Pledge is a ton of damage into Slowbro, but Venusaur goes down to a Flare Blitz. So really good call on Soup going for the Heal Pulse there. I like that a lot. But Tauros will hit the field. Arcanine like has to switch pretty much because he's so crippled, and the odds of Slowbro being able to get up another Trick Room here are very slim. So actually, Charcoal positioned himself in a good spot here because he has the faster team. He wants to not have Trick Room up, and he kind of willed it to be that way. And so now, Grimmsnarl hits the field. Arcanine had to switch out as Close Combat picks up the kill on the incoming Grimmsnarl, and Body Press comes out. Oh, probably expecting a switch, I imagine, because Tauros could have probably killed Slowbro. Double Up probably could have killed Slowbro here. But yeah, that was a pretty solid pretty solid play for Soup, but great call on the close combat there. Would have worked into anything. And so yeah, like any Gambit switch in would have been really punished there. And Trick Room is able to actually come back up, which was a little bit surprising. But Gambit hits the field now, meaning there's no mirror or boost. As Soup points out, he was really trying to avoid that. And Lycanroc hit the field, actually, which is a little bit risky because like a low kick would be super effective into this. But also, Tauros is Tauros in front of King Gambit. He could just click Fighting move, right? So, and it is a Psychic into the Lycanroc and a Kowtow into the Goodra. So pretty well played there. Maybe expecting an Arcanine switch in on either end, just to avoid again the Tauros boost. And then like a Lycanroc switch into Tauros would be really bad here. So it is an Arcanine switch in actually, and Accelerock picks up on Slowbro as body press does a lot, or just a little to Arcanine, but he takes poison chip, so he goes down quite a bit. And Gambit now comes out again. Actually, I think maybe a better play would be like, well, I was gonna say like you could Psychic to cover for a Tauros switch in. Yeah, like Psychic Iron Head actually would kill Lycanroc here, but it would be or Tauros on switch in, but then you have 100% HP on Goodra and Tauros in the back, so it's like kind of cooked either way. I feel like Charcoal's played his hand pretty well, and he's now in a position where he can Accelerock and Body Press, and even if he loses Lycanroc, doesn't matter. He still has full HP Tauros in the back, and full HP Goodra on the field, so it's very unwinnable for Soup at this point. And yeah, I think Charcoal did a great job attacking Soup's King Gambit, because Gambit is such a scary mon, but is Terra Banned, I believe. He's Terra Banned, right? No, he's not Terra Banned. But yeah, very well played by Charcoal. I'm very impressed with his performance too, especially after last week where he got the loss, and so getting a win under his belt is really nice. And Soup played pretty well, so I think very back and forth match. This is like the third time I've said this stream, but this is the best match we've seen so far, probably. Very, very impressed with both players. So yeah, well, let's move on to our final match, which is Shanji versus Raphael. Raphael is the sub for Evi, taking over now, and yeah, pretty interested to kind of see how he will look with his new team, because it is an entirely new team. He dropped literally every Pokemon, which is a little crazy because there were a lot of good Pokemon on that team. But he dropped literally every Pokemon and decided to kind of start from scratch here into a team that is actually decent into Shanji's. I think it's interesting how we have three ground immunities on the side, but no real Earthquake user. And we have Rillaboom to kind of deny Earthquake. And so I think Tauros does have it, but like it's just a little bit odd on that end. It is kind of nice to have for Earthstone and Blood Moon, though, who obviously has very strong Earth powers that he could rip into some of these mons. Yeah, we see 3 Terra Dragons on Shanji's end, actually. I guess for Rillaboom, Rotom, and Tauros, it kind of makes sense. What?
I've been muted for the last like 10 minutes.
Oh, I just thought you weren't saying anything.
No, I was definitely talking.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's my fault.
Yikes. Sorry, what did you want to say about this?
I don't know. But the reason why I noticed I was like, I've said a lot of shit about like the Charcoal versus Soup matchup, but I don't remember what I said now. And
Damn.
The reason I noticed I was muted is because I was typing, and I was like, I should probably mute my keyboard or mute my mic so you don't hear the clicky clacky from my keyboard. So I went to go mute it, and I realized, fuck, it's already muted. So here we are, and I realized, yeah. Anyway, that last match was.
It's been a good solo stream, don't worry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, I think the Terra Dragons are pretty reasonable. The Terra Grounds for any electric type attack, like Porygon especially. I think Shanji also has Raichu on his team, so. Or no, he maybe dropped Raichu. Maybe he kept him. I don't know. But either way, yeah, I feel like these are pretty standard. Terra is kind of all around. Terra Water is very standard on both of these guys. Terra Dark for Prankster, or like sorry for yeah, no, it is typically for Prankster, but actually in this case it's for Lokex probably, which is kind of weird because Bug is so good into both. So like maybe Fairy would have probably been better, but I don't know. Maybe you didn't want to be weak to, I don't know. But yeah, and then pretty interesting Terra types on Shanji's part. And we do see the 2 Terra Band mons of Rillaboom and Earthstone Blood Moon. So yeah, let's get into it. And wow, interesting lead. And we see Grassy Seed Cinderace. I love the prep there by Shanji.
That's cool.
I think that that works pretty well in his favor now, because Cinderace is able to tank attacks he wouldn't normally, like a high horsepower probably. Yeah, pretty cool stuff there. Both of these mons have Tailwind as well. And he just rips the aggro into Rillaboom, and it just picks up. And we see a Tailwind on Covey's end as Taunt comes out after. Oh wow, that's great. Like theoretically,
turn one.
Comfey could floral healing, but he's not really clicking that super often into Cinderace anyways. So the taunt really doesn't do that much there into Comfey. And big kill there. So great turn 1 for Shanji. Get Tailwind up too. Intimidate does come off though, so maybe he hesitates clicking Acro. But actually gets the Intimidate traced, which is awesome. Mirror Armor wouldn't have really done much, but it means that he can lower the attack of that Tauros, who will Terra Water. Pyro Ball also not doing nearly as much damage because of the -1 from Intimidate. But Rock Slide doing nothing. Oh my god, 18% with the super effective attack. I guess because it's not stab and it's -1 attack. And +1 defense. He's really just not doing a lot of damage, but I've never seen a Cinderace take a super effective attack that well. Go ahead.
So it makes me wonder what the investment on that Tauros is, because like Rock Slide realistically should have done a lot more, even at -1, into a Terra Flying Cinderace. Granted, it does have a defense boost. Okay, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But it's probably not like max attack Tauros. Yeah, you're probably right on that.
Effectively a -2 Tauros.
Yeah. And it is an Iron Defense from Corv at the end of the turn, which could be valuable.
Okay.
The Thunderbolt's still super effective. Acro does come out, and so does Thunderbolt.
We do see Thunderbolt.
And Body Press only doing half at +2. Wow. Pretty impressive.
It's EV putting in work.
Ooh, pretty rough play there. Expecting, not sure what they were expecting from that, but a Pyro Ball into the Corviknight would have covered for a fake out. If you just Thunderbolt and Pyro Ball, then Corv dies, right? But instead, Corv is going to be able to rip a pretty strong Body Press, and it will pick up on the Porygon. No Terra from Porygon either, which is, I believe it's just like flying. Yeah, it is flying. So it would have resisted that Body Press. But yeah, a little unfortunate there. If he had Terra on either turn, if he had Pyro Balled, or, just played like a little bit differently, I think Corv would have died, and it would be a really strong 4v2, but instead it's now a pretty strong 3v3. I still think Shanji's definitely in the driver's seat there, with low kicks especially. No first impression to Meowstic. Wow, that's pretty surprising. Covers for Terra Dark. It's just really strong. You outspeed it, so it can't get up any screen of any kind. I think you just always click first impression there. Worst case scenario, Tauros comes out, but like, still you get off damage, and then you can kill the Corv either way with Pyro Ball. So, I don't know. But it is a knockoff, actually, which does okay. Terra Dark would have lived that, but that's okay. Because Tauros hits the field, -1 on both of these guys, but he will probably die fairly soon. And it is Trailblaze on low kicks, actually. Interesting.
Ooh, nice.
Rock Slide crits and does a lot to the low kicks, but with the knockoff and Acro, it does pick up. And we learned it's AV Tauros, so you're right. Further, like I think this is further confirmation that it's not max attack Tauros here.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting game 1. I like that game 1 for Shanji a lot. I think he revealed quite a bit of tech, but I think he played really well. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how Raphael will adapt for game 2. Coming into it, we see a Bronzong lead this time. Interesting. And the trace of Prankster is kind of funny too, as Porygon goes for Protect into the Fake Out. Pretty nice. As Taunt comes off into Bronzong. Oof, good turn 1 for Raphael. Generally, as Light Screen comes up here. Tailwind, Thunderbolt comes up. No Trick Room on the Porygon. Interesting. And Body Press is a little bit to Corv, but Corv very tanky here. Oh, but a double switch, actually, as Low Kicks comes out and Shadow Ball comes out into the slot. Interesting.
Oh, we saw the Terra Ghost a little too late.
What do you mean?
The Bronzong went Terra Ghost after it got faked out.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that was a true one?
It didn't get faked out, actually. It got
taunted. Yeah, taunted. Yeah. Never mind.
That actually did go turn 1 and went for Terra Ghost, thinking it couldn't get faked out, but forgot about taunt. So, yeah. But on this turn, we now have Lucas being able to do a lot of damage, but a double protect actually interesting. And Disquake is very reasonable. Shout out G
A lot
here.
of Disquake cores this season.
I know. Makes me feel like I'm missing out, but
It's almost like Cybon set a new standard for.
it's like, oh,
'Cause
I can just click
I think
Disquake
it's
and
the
win.
first
Yeah,
time
let me just
first
do
time
that.
we saw a lot of Disquake was Cybon last season, and now we have three, I think three, maybe four, but
I think it's probably
guarantee
4,
we have
yeah.
three Disquake teams, all of them with Rotom, so it's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I love the Rotom. It's really good for type charts too. Rotom is.
Yes.
But we see a double switch actually from Shanji as the Terra Electric comes out on Rotom Wash. And only Ursaluna is going to be getting hit by the Earthquake, and only Bronzong is going to be getting hit by the Discharge. So pretty good switches from Shanji. Though Ursaluna does have to watch out for a Hydro Pump because it can't Terra. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. And it does protect
Even
there.
if it could Terra, we've already blown his Terra on the Ghost.
Yeah, that's true. Knockoff actually comes out into that Terra Ghost. So Terra Ghost and Psychic both still take super effective from Knockoff there. But Wisp comes out into Inertia. Very interesting. Probably expecting a kick switch, I imagine. I don't know why else he would go for that. Maybe just for Chip. But Trick Room's able to get up, so it works out really well if you're Shanji. And we see 2 protects already as Blood Moon comes out and is able to OHKO the Rotom. So great turn for Shanji here, because now it's a 3v4, but Shanji also has a great Trick Room on at full HP in the back, which is fun. So yeah. And we see a switch into that Mon, which makes a lot of sense. Gets Prankster again as Fake Out comes out into Ursa, which doesn't do that much, but Knockoff pretty good there by Raphael. So not a bad turn for Raphael. Hyper Voice doing a ton of damage though, and Throat Spray Ursa, interesting. As Ice Beam comes out and Ice Core goes down too, and so now it's just like kind of cooked.
Waste of a turn for him too, because that Helping Hand didn't get to proc.
Yeah. So really just, all it did was burn a turn of Trick Room, which is not that valuable, and so yeah, Shanji is looking like he's gonna win this one, especially with Corv at half health already. Light Screen does come up, but with a Blood Moon and a Thunderbolt, there's just no world in which Corv lives this. And Meowstic doesn't have any more attacks, and so it will just go down to Hyper Voice here. And yeah, very convincing win for Shanji game 4. Or game 2. Not game 4.
Game
4-0
4?
win, I meant.
Okay.
I meant 4-0 win. Game 2. So, well played there.
Oh, yeah.
And so now, according to Spam, we aren't saying who gets actually Elysium and feels the punishment, but I think considerations for Elysium are Shanji for sure. Played pretty well.
Shanji for sure.
Charcoal maybe, I think played really well throughout. It's both Charcoal and Soup actually. So I think that makes it even more impressive of a win because Soup was playing so well and Charcoal was able to win. I think
And a lot of Charcoal's win came from the prep. The Mirror Herb obviously was huge. His positioning throughout this entire match was phenomenal. He terrored when he needed to. Yeah, no, very
the
commanding
game
from
1
Charcoal.
loss though, it makes it a little bit harder, especially because he didn't play as nearly as good actually in that game 1. You saw like he just kind of like got bullied by Soup game 1 in a lot of ways, but yeah, I think he did play well enough in the last 2 to make up for it a little. And TBL is in the same boat actually, where he lost game 1. He lost game 1, but games 2 and 3 he played so well that it makes up for it, for sure.
Yeah.
I may be a consideration. I feel like I played very well into a tough opponent who was also playing really well. I did get a little bit lucky though, so that's something to keep in mind. I feel like Saline played well, but Alberto kept it so close, and like literally 1% game 3. Like it.
Yeah.
It was just Alberto played really well, and Saline didn't. Like it felt like it could have gone either way, and so I didn't feel like a super like great win. But a win's a win, right? So it's nice to have. And then I think you also played well, but had several mistakes and could have lost to a to in a lot of several different ways. So yeah,
I agree.
I don't love the idea of giving Voids Fields of Punishment here, especially because of how well he played kind of throughout game 1 especially. He played very well. But yeah, I don't think Elysium really for you. And then in this match, I feel like Chuckles, like he bounced back a lot game 2. I don't think there was anything particularly horrible there. And Nick, again, I don't think there's anything particularly impressive. I think the banded Dragon Knight was just kind of unstoppable, especially without Frigg being brought. And so it's just like, if Frigg were brought, I think he would have lost game 2 pretty easily. Or not pretty easily, but he would have lost game 2. I think game 3 is more of a toss-up. So again, it just doesn't really feel like an Elysium performance necessarily. But I think strong contenders are, I think me, TBL, Charcoal, and Shanji, all pretty solid performances. As far as Fields of Punishment goes, I think P4, pretty clear one, especially with the Poliwag play, just, really backfiring. Volk not coming once, which, kind of makes sense into this Rain team, but if you were able to deny Rain like he was all game, it didn't really matter. Huh?
What was the Terra type on Volk?
Terra Grass.
Terra Grass Volk would have done wonders into this team.
Still super, like, I can't beat Pelipper, right? But other than that, yeah, I can put in crazy work. But yeah, I think P4 had a pretty good game 1, and then kind of went for the same basic things. Games 2 and 3 didn't really play great in those games. So, yeah, a little unfortunate there. And then I think other than that,
Law definitely doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, no, not Alberto, because he played very well. I think Voids played pretty well. I think Chuckles, maybe he had a pretty good adaptation game too, but he kind of had no answer for banded Dragonite, and then not bringing Frigg. Like, he played really well with the mons he brought, but like, why would you not bring Frigg into banded Dragonite, especially Terra Fairy Frigg into banded Dragonite? With Outrage and Earth Extreme Speed, like, felt like a very kind of obvious bring game 2. And maybe game 1 you don't bring it, like, just because you're not sure, but like after game 1, like, you should always bring it. So I think that ties into part of the reason why he might be a good consideration for that.
Yeah.
And then maybe Raphael, but I feel like Raphael had a lot of good turns there, and it was more Shanji playing really well than Raphael playing poorly. So
agreed.
So yeah, those are the considerations. I think the top considerations for Fields are probably Chuckles and P4.
P4, yep.
Now, moving to MVP race. So we can see that Nick actually has the third.
Reformat that.
Huh?
I think you might have to reformat that.
Or is it just
how? Oh, it's how I have my share screen. Never mind.
Oh. So the MVP race is Nick actually has the third and fourth highest Pokemon, which is really impressive. Especially because they're both 7-0. So Dragonite was especially good game 2. Week 2, and Bisharp only came week 1, but put in crazy work that week 1. Scissor's been great for TBL in both matchups. Though week 1 was against 3 fairies, and week 2 was against a team where the one of 2 resists was Poliwag, and the other resist was Vaporeon, who Terra grounded to suddenly become no longer a resist. And then also a Fairymon, and also just like generally kind of frailer mons. And so Scissor was in a really good spot both weeks, but that just because something's in a good spot doesn't mean it's gonna perform like just because Bam Adebayo was playing the Wizards doesn't mean he was gonna drop 83 points. Just because Scissor was in such a good spot both weeks doesn't mean he's gonna go 11-0. Like, that's ridiculous. Still super impressive. And he's actually far above Art, who's at number 23, who's 3-1 right now in 2 games.
Crazy.
Other things to note, we have actually both Volcarona and P4, mainly from, Volcarona and Galarian Weezing, almost exclusively from game 1 or week 1. They are kind of top 15, but I think pretty solid there. And then I also was able to get Garchomp and Titan, both top 10, which is pretty cool. Especially Garchomp, I feel like he really deserved it this past week.
number 6, let's go.
Yeah, quite nice there. Surprised to see Tauros as Charcoal's number 1, but I guess this week he really earned it. So, and then Lurantis in 1 week also doing really well, and Croquin in 1 week doing really well. So, yeah. Other than that, let's take a look at the standings, which we can see here. Yeah, we have 3 2-0 players, 4 0-2 players, and because of that one double forfeit. And yeah, we have me and Nick both having gone 2-1, winning 2-0 in both weeks. TBL won in 3 games here, but you can see his Mon diff is actually the highest out of anyone because he kept it close game 1 and then 1, 2, and 3 very convincingly. And then
his Mon differential is the same as his Scizor differential.
Without Scizor, he'd be neutral. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, very impressive there. And then you can see that actually out of all of these 1-1 teams, they're all completely neutral on the game diff except Charcoal and Salen, I guess, who are minus. But oh wait, no, P4 is +1. Never mind. That's not actually that impressive, but there's 4 teams that are the neutral on their game diff. Mon diff kind of varying pretty wildly among these guys. But yeah, I think it's still early in the season, still anyone's game. Hopefully, some of us towards the top are able to continue the winning streak. Hopefully, some of the people towards the bottom are able to turn things around. And then there's playoffs are pretty open right now, and will probably remain open. I know I play both Nick and TBL, so I'm not sure if they play each other, but if they do, then I would guarantee that we're gonna have max 1 undefeated team this season, but likely probably no undefeated teams this season. Also, there are some people who were off to a pretty easier start to their schedule who have pretty rough ends to their schedule. I think P4 and TBL, one of the 2 of them, has a pretty rough end to their schedule. Maybe Nick as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. That some of these teams towards the top have pretty tough schedules. Doesn't mean they'll do worse because they are great players, but yeah, something to consider.
Also, really quick before we forget, I did this in the Hoplite stream because we have people who don't have team submissions. So I bullied them on stream, and I came up with a team name for them. I think we should do that here too.
I do have to go, so I don't. We're not going to do that right now, but you can come up with team names for them.
Yeah.
And sorry, guys, but you have to submit your team info. And you can always change it just by submitting your info, so make sure you guys do that. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. A little bit longer stream this time, but very entertaining week. This is what ODL is all about. And so, yeah, thank you for joining me, Spam. Any final thoughts?
No, I think like you said, week 1 was a little bit lackluster in both Hoplite and Phalanx, but
Yeah.
week 2 is already off to a strong start, so I think it's all uphill from here, and I can't wait to see what you guys bring to the table.
Yeah. All right. So to the TBL. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and tuning in, and see you guys in week 3 where we have some already some of the games that have been played are already really good. So gonna be in for another interesting week there. So see you guys.